Hey guys, the last time I did Flamewood build I had 4.3 million average hit damage per projectile and around 20 projectiles. This time I have 69 million average hit damage per projectile. So technically this is over 1 billion damage burst damage. This is using Vaal Ancestral Warchief. Now there are many things that I need to mention about this build, but I'm just gonna start with my usual special. This build is not really that good for Uber bosses, simply because I'm using Vaal Ancestral Warchief and I did not make this to generate flash charges for the Soul Ripper. So when I enter the Uber boss fight, I have no charges for the Vaal skill, so I have to damage the boss to charge the Vaal version. And I tried a couple Uber bosses. I tried Uber Eater 8 times, only 4 of them succeeded to defeat. I tried Uber Shaper twice, both of the times failed just because I just cannot tank anything. So this is like Exile cannon. The goal for this build was not to make a build for you, it was a build for me. So you can definitely lose some damage and adapt to your liking, get more defenses. My goal was just to get as much damage as possible and see how much damage I can actually get on this, like on a reasonable price build, I guess. Now, when I said 69 million damage per projectile, that's with like all conditions and not really a practical build even for mapping. I am using Progenesis for mapping, but like for full damage I need to use a strong diamond flask to reach 100% crit chance. The other conditions is that all projectiles need to land. All 20 projectiles. So Uber bosses, for example, cannot be taunted, so they just try to attack you. So you kind of have to place both Vaal totems next to yourself and kind of tank the hit or bait into a hit. And both totems have to be hit, and then the boss has to not move before the projectiles land. I'm not sure if all projectiles can overlap. I think they can, and also there are a couple other conditional things. Exposure is only 10% chance on hit, and then cover enemies in ash. I believe it was 20% chance on a hit, so the first hit will not be as strong. But I can produce those conditions with the normal Ancestral Warchief, which by the way has around 7.4 times less life. Vaal Ancestral Warchief at level 20 with no quality has almost 11,000 life, and the non-Vaal version has like 1.7 thousand life. Here are the values of all the totems. So Vaal Ancestral Warchief has more life than any other totem. So the normal Ancestral Warchief obviously has way less damage, but it can still, with 2 totems, it should be able to kind of burst down any Shaper Guardians, unless we have some juice. Basically, okay, what this build is for, if it's not really for Uber bosses. So the main thing I was farming was juiced up high tier maps with Essence, Tormented Spirits, and Ironheart. So if it happens to be an essence that is an Ironheart beast, red beast, and it has multiple essences and possessed by tormented spirits and wildwood juiced up, it can be like extremely dangerous. But not really for this build. For this build you just drop normal Ancestral Warchief. If the enemies are not dying, you just drop Vaal Ancestral Warchief and it's almost guaranteed to die. The build is obviously not tanky. I do have my defensive layers. The build felt very frustrating until I added the Bloodnotch dual combo. Bloodnotch with Immutable Force. For that I had to sacrifice quite a few passive points to get an extra jewel socket and to get Energy Shield Mastery, but after I added that, then mapping became much better. Also don't really have regen, so running Vitality instead of Health of Ash just feels more pleasant to have some kind of regen. But for like pure damage I would swap Vitality to Health of Ash. The Health of Ash has 12% more spell fire damage. This build is not really fast clear speed, but it can do like heavily juiced up content. And the totem's taunt, so it does provide some extra tankiness, but you kind of have to place the totem after the enemies spawn, so you cannot really pre-place the totem before essence become damageable. Same goes for strong boxes, same goes for pretty much everything. That's why it's not very safe, and besides, enemies can still fire a bunch of projectiles towards the totem and you may be behind the totem, so you may still get hit. For that reason I am also running a Progenesis flask, which doesn't have 100% uptime. I just have it kind of partially up. Whenever it's up, it's up. Whenever it's down, I probably die. I do have Ralakesh Impatience boost, so I do get some endurance charges, some extra mitigation, and I did try to get some chaos resistance. I am running Annihilating Light, so I also had to get quite a lot of resistances. The amulet, again, very cheap amulet. I did use this amulet the last time I played Flamewood. Replica Dragonfang's Flight with the +3 to Ancestral Warchief gems. Now the main difference what I'm doing right now, the last time I did I believe was with the Sire of Shards, which is like very cheap, it gives extra proj without using GMP. This time I'm using Black Zenith gloves. This changes the playstyle because you have to constantly keep resummoning the totem. Now this adds a cooldown, 4-second cooldown to a 1 second already base cooldown, so it's 5-second cooldown. But this is not to place the totem, you can spam the totem as much as you like. It is to trigger the Flamewood. Once it triggers, it has to wait for 5 seconds. You can wait it, but then the taunt happens for 2 seconds after summoning the totem. So you would actually have to get another taunt source if you want to wait. And Vaal Ancestral Warchief lasts for 9 seconds. So if you place 2 of them, they could technically proc 4 times. Well, each totem could proc 2 times over its lifespan, but they also jump around. So it kind of makes it really unreliable to use Vaal Ancestral Warchief for bosses that just move all the time. But there are many bosses where you can bait their attacks to totems, like Sirius for example. When it does Diabeam, you basically place the totems in between you and Sirius or behind yourself, and then as soon as you know that it's gonna do the Diabeam or something else, you just dash to the side, it hits the totems, and then the projectiles fly. You do need to get enough projectile speed to not give enough time for an enemy to move away. So I am also using Adorned jewel and stacking only 3 jewels with totem life and projectile speed. So 3 jewels, I got 126% Adorned. You can actually improve and get like a perfect one. I'm also using only 5-point voices. If you are like rich, you can get 1-point voices, you would save many points. You could get more perfect like jewels. One of these jewels give me 22% totem life and 18% projectile speed. You could also try to get something on implicit if you want to improve the damage more. Originally I was trying to reach this one, but instead of going here, also this is level 94. I'm not gonna be able to level up anymore because I just keep dying because I'm doing like just dumb juiced up content, like Chimera with 6 tormented spirits or Minotaur with 3 tormented spirits. We just dive bombs in like a split second and I can't get away at all. This alone wouldn't really give all that much, but what I wanted to take is this one. 100% increased damage with hits against ignited enemies. That one gives a lot. So previously I wasn't taking that, and like you could drop maybe this for level 95. It would be a bit more damage, but now another problem is you don't have chance to ignite. If you could also get more chance to ignite, this could actually provide a lot of damage. You could also get the Fire Mastery here, but these are not really... Also ignite damage is really low because the triple damage staff is only for hits and not for ailments. So the ignite damage is not great. You could do this as an ignite build. I'm a bit curious how it would feel and scale. It should still scale really well, but it would still have kind of similar problems. Although it would probably have better clear speed. So as I mentioned, the Black Zenith, you kind of have to spam totems all the time, which takes a bit of time to get used to. But with Black Zenith gloves you can get a lot more damage. The mana cost is also going to be way lower. Essentially it is a falling only. The Black Zenith gloves previously I was using, and it's actually hard to get corrupted ones. I guess people aren't really corrupting them, or the price is just like 30-40 divines for +2. One of my viewers, Riftsphere, donated these gloves, but I was previously using spell crit chance gloves, which are also good and they are much cheaper, like 1 divine. So just get that, you will still have plenty of damage. But if you want to really go for max, you cannot get +4 gloves because it doesn't have duration. The Vaal Ancestral Warchief is just plus AoE. So you could get +1 and then +2 AoE, and then maybe use level 4, even level 5 Empower instead of Concentrated Effect, which I do swap to increased AoE for mapping. The other thing that I'm swapping, I'm using Immutable Force here and Bloodnotch here, and the Immutable Force is essentially to prevent like chain stuns, but Uber bosses, if they hit me, I will probably die anyway, so I may as well just swap this. So I swap to things like this. Crit chance while you have maximum power charges, and you always have maximum power charges with Ralakesh. And also a really good mod is increased crit chance if you haven't dealt critical strike recently. Just make sure don't use Frostblink and just use dash. That way your totems don't count as you critting. Same goes for traps and mines. So you can easily replace the base crit chance at maximum power charges with this mod. As for the other charms, similar thing. I got one of these, a high crit chance at maximum power charges, same goes for that. Remove curses and elemental ailments every 4 seconds, also nice. And this one, I had it myself. Summon a cube, but I mean, it's not necessary. Just get crit, essentially. This is Scion to maximize the amount of passive points I get, and also to get +1 extra projectiles. And Sniper's Mark effect also is really good. Tailwind for some extra mobility, and Chieftain because cover enemies in ash, increase strength, and that works really well with Iron Will. That gives quite a lot of damage, even if you're not really like trying to stack strength. If I were to remove Iron Will, look at how much damage I lose. I lose like 6 million average hit damage per projectile, so that's 120 million damage. These numbers are so just astronomically high that it makes me laugh every time I say 1 billion damage. Like, it just, what is that? How many zeros is that? So yeah, I am using Militant Fate in here for the inner conviction. Try to get something with area damage, totem damage, or elemental damage, combination of 2 of them, because you can get quite a lot of increased damage because you're picking out many things in here. I'm also using Rain of Splinters, that's +2 additional projectiles, quite a lot. Dying Sun, another +2. Bottle Fate is also big damage increase. Going with the Kaom Zard, the corrupted Kaom Zard is surprisingly cheap, I guess no one is using it. So the most expensive parts of this build is I guess Progenesis, which is not mandatory, I would say, and the rest are kind of you can build from the cheaper budget. It works on a cheaper budget. Now a more expensive budget, I guess, would always be Mage Blood. You can set up Mage Blood. I don't know exactly what would you use, like get a lot more armor, get resistances, maybe freeze immunity. By the way I'm getting freeze immunity is using this Stygian Wise with chance to avoid being frozen. That is an essence mode, and then I bought another beast jewel with, you just need 50% on a jewel is the maximum, and exactly 50% avoid being frozen can be expensive, so just try to get more than 50% on a belt, and the price drops dramatically. So just avoid being frozen, life, and resistances if possible. Rings essentially just cover resistances and attributes. The helmet I had, this helmet just big resistances, reduce mana cost of attacks. Actually you may need that, especially before you get Black Zenith gloves, which by the way are also expensive. You don't need to double corrupt them. I tried to corrupt them myself. I bought 12 of them. None of them corrupt to +2. Only one of them corrupted to spell crit chance, so that is like 2 divines wasted. 30 to 40 years per piece and trying to Vaal them. I mean, eventually you probably would hit the +2, but in order to get level 21 Vaal Ancestral Warchief, you don't need quality, just 21. It can only be double corrupted, so you're gonna have to run temples, the gem corruption rooms. So I ran actually 5, and I guess I got lucky and got on a 5th one. The Vaal orb cannot do 2 things, and you kind of need 2 things to happen. It needs to be plus level, and it needs to turn into Vaal version. Now the Flamewood levels actually don't add as much as Ancestral Warchief. Empower, if you were to use Empower it would be for Ancestral Warchief. Besides, Empower cannot affect Flamewood because it's a support skill. So I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted. The Pantheon powers, if you're using Bloodnotch combo, do not use Soul of Brand King. I am using Soul of Lunaris. It adds some tankiness, avoid projectiles, not a very high chance but still helps. And then I don't have shock immunity. I was previously while leveling running Purity of Elements, especially until you get all the upgrades, and because the staff just lowers your resistance so much. So running Purity of Elements could also be a thing. You don't need to worry about freeze immunity. You can change the ring and jewel. You don't need to worry about ignites. You still need to, I guess, worry about bleeds and then poison. But then you could replace this, for example, and take maybe this. So yeah, I had a lot of fun playing this build, and well, I played this build for 1 day and 9 hours, like combined time, and I only have 146,000 kills. So I feel like I played a lot. I did farm a lot. I did level many gems to level 20, which I usually don't even do. So I feel like I achieved a lot with this build, but like it's not really for Uberos. Again, I made this build for myself, not for others, but you can use this as a blueprint and adapt to what you would like. Now, I don't know about the next build. I've been too busy enjoying playing this build, and I'm not sure about the next build, so if you got some interesting build ideas, let me know in the comments below. As always, I will most likely say nah. Sometimes it just happens, I keep saying nah, don't like that, and then someone randomly suggests one idea, and I'm like immediately, oh, that actually, okay, let's just do that. So maybe something like that will happen again. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye. That doesn't hit.
Inconsequential. Inconsequential.
I have to. I'm in danger.